Welcome! Okay, so I've been saying for ages, oh, I've got to do a kit or something else, so finally I'm actually going to do a kit. I don't have the whole kit in here with me because it's a little bit impractical, but I have one of the Tom. I have the mounted Tom, and I will go over that, and then I'll do a video, and I've got some other video that I took ages ago, so I'll slap that up as well. In slightly better light, but anyway, this kit is my Craviotto kit, and anyone that's followed me on Facebook or on Twitter or whatever has probably have seen this kit many times because I tend to go on about it and have posted quite a lot of photos of it over the years, well, over the last year, sorry, but. It's a very special kit, and it's a very special kit for several reasons. First of all, it came from Tom Meadows, who is Kylie's drummer. It is special because it was, as far as I'm aware, actually, I'm pretty sure it was the first kit in this particular finish. And at the moment, as of well, it's October 2013 at the moment. As far as I'm aware, it's the first of only 3 kits in this particular finish in the world. This is the only kit outside of North America that I am aware of, and it's the Kylie Minogue Aphrodite World Tour kit. So if you go to YouTube and look up Kylie Minogue's Aphrodite World Tour, this is the kit that you will see. And if I remember, I'll put a link to that in. If you're in the UK and you saw the Hackney Marshes gig in 2012, this is also the kit that Tom used with Leona Lewis. Although I think he had the metal hoops on it, which are there. So I've still got the wood hoops on it, but I did get the metal hoops as well. The thing with well, I'll tell you what. I'll show you the thing first. It'll be easier. And there you go. This is it's a 13 by 13 by 11. I think it is. Can't remember. That's terrible, isn't it? It's 13 by 11 mounted Tom. Obviously, when you slap the hoops on as well, they're about another inch. So it's almost a square size by the time you've take everything into account. It's in a whitewash finish, which you probably won't be able to see off the camera now, but you can actually see the grain of the wood through the finish. So it's not a sort of solid colour. It's a lovely thin paint job. The paint job was done by Jack Mayer of Mayer Brothers in the US, and if you do see this, Jack, fantastic, well done. It's awesome. I've had a lot of comments on this kit in the times that I've taken it out, and from the people that have seen it as well. So yeah, wonderful. I mean, I've seen very few kits that have been done in such a wonderful finish. Now, I think I got this kit in about August of last year. The funny thing with this was I had been umming and ahhing about having a Craviotto kit for quite a while, and I always came to the conclusion before I moved to this house that spending sort of £3,000, £4,000, £5,000, £7,000 on a drum kit when you really only play sort of the occasional club, and mostly pubs, is probably an impractical thing to do. Obviously, you'd be mortified if you went out and played it down the local pub and it got knocked, because then you'd obviously be inside for murder, because you'd have to kill the person that damaged it if it wasn't yourself. So I kind of had always thought about getting a Craviotto kit. Obviously, with all these snare drums, it seemed like the logical thing to do, but I'd always managed to talk myself out of it because of the impracticalities of it. And then I moved to this house, and it suddenly became a more practical thing to possibly think about again. So As it happened, and very strangely, but maybe not so strangely in my world because weird things happen like this, I happened to be thinking about um, purchasing or putting in an order for a kit. And I'd had I think I'd run an idea or two past some friends of mine, um, and I'd had some numbers back, and I was toying with the idea of just trying to find something that was workable in terms of sizes and costings and things, and I remember I was actually inside, actually in the house and doing some work actually on a Thursday afternoon, and I happened to be sitting there, and I got an email from Tom Meadows, and it wasn't just to me, but I got an email from Tom saying that he was selling the Kylie World Tour kit, and if anyone was interested to let him know, which was a fantastic piece of timing as far as I was concerned. So I got the email, and I think I responded to him within about 2 minutes of getting it and said, yes, I'm interested. I couldn't believe my luck. And so I arranged this, that was on the Thursday, and I arranged to meet up with Tom on the Sunday, the following Sunday at his lockup. And I went over and met with him and looked at the kit. And the funny thing with this kit is over the last few years, certainly, or over the last 10 years actually, I've generally favoured smaller drums because they sort of seem to cut through a little bit better, and because I find them easier to tune, and they're obviously easier to lug about, and I just like smaller drums. So the last few kits that I've bought have been sort of 10, 12, 14 and a 20-inch kick drum. In fact, the last 3 kits I've bought have been 20-inch kick drums of various depths, and that was the size that I was looking to get. That I'd messed around with in terms of looking to order was a 20. I think maybe sort of a 10 and a 12 and a 14 or 15-inch floor tom, something like that. But anyway, so these weren't my sizes at all. They're the sizes of one or two of the vintage kits I've got. The Slingerland kit in the other room is actually almost identical sizes to this kit. I think the mounted tom is a 13 by 9 on the Slingerland kit, whereas this one's slightly deeper. But other than that, it's all the same sizes. It's 22 by 15. The floor tom is a 16 by 16. As I said, this is a 13 by 11. And I'll probably go away and look at it later, and it'll be something different. And this won't be a 1311, but so they're not my sizes at all. But I went along and I had a chat with Tom, and I remember him saying how great these sizes were, and how well they work as this kit. And Tom was very, very gracious enough to let me take the kit there and then. And so, like anyone that's just spent, well, I hadn't even paid him at that point, but spent an awful lot of money on a set of fairly unique drums, I took my young lady shopping, and I borrowed some cases from Tom, and I put the thankfully I've got a station wagon, and I put the drums in the back of the car. I always have a duvet in there for when I do transport my kit, so I put the duvet over the top of them and then went and parked in a multi-storey car park. Blinding move on my part, given that if these drums got nicked, whilst they are fairly unique, they would have been irreplaceable. But yeah, blinding move on my part, as I said. But anyway, I got home and I cleaned them up. Not cleaned them up. I took them apart. Actually, it was a couple of days later I took them apart because I didn't have a chance to do much else with them on the Sunday. But I brought them in here, and I remember taking a few photos and just sort of standing and looking at them, as us sad people tend to do. And when I did actually come to change the heads, as I said in the last video, well, one of the last videos that with one of Tom's snare drums. Tom's an Aquarian guy. I've got Remo. I've got a Remo coated Emperor actually on the top here, and this, like most of my smaller drums actually, or anything 14 or smaller, as I've said to numerous people over the years, I actually put, well, when I can get them anyway, I put Ambassador snare side heads on the bottom of my toms. And if I don't, if Wembley Drum Centre has them, I will actually buy Diplomat snare side heads to go on the bottom of my toms. And the thinking behind that has always been that the thinner head will hopefully vibrate a bit better and produce a better sound, and maybe a sort of maybe a slightly deeper sound even. But I've never had any problems with that. I've never had any heads pop on me or anything like that, and all of my toms sound fantastic. So whether or not it makes any difference, I don't know. It makes a difference to me, and that's all that matters. But so there is actually a snare side head. It's a snare side head, this one, and it's not a typical tom head. But I was changing the heads, and I think I started on the floor tom, and I put the bottom head on. I've got a normal coated Emperor on the top, and a clear Ambassador on the bottom of the floor tom, and I've got a white PS3. It's a smooth white PS3 on the front of the bass drum, and a white coated PS3 on the batter side of the bass drum. But I remember actually sitting just down there, and I put the floor tom together, and I hit it with a stick, and I was just absolutely floored by the sound. And it was so long and thick, and that sounds really quite vulgar, doesn't it? The sound was very long and thick and resonating, and I remember hitting it a good few times just to savour that experience, because it was the most pure sounding floor tom that I'd ever hit. And same with the bass drum. I've got there's no hole on the bass drum, and I've got some shredded newspaper in it just to give it a little bit more dampening. Obviously, when you hit the batter head, the paper just floats around a little bit and then settles, so it gives you a little bit of a tone and then muffles it. And so that's how I've got that set up. And I think I've possibly got a very small bit of gaffer tape on the floor tom, just to calm it down very slightly. I actually spoke to a good friend of mine who's a tuning expert from Remo, and this was last year, and he recommended that I put some vintage A Ambassadors on the tops, coated on the tops of the toms. And because I trust Jeff, and he absolutely knows what he's talking about in terms of drums and heads. In fact, he's still a bigger nerd than I will ever be, I think. And Jeff, if you do ever see this, I mean that with the most sincere goodwill and everything else. It's I mean, it's flattery. If he used to be the Sonar rep for the UK, and he's a massive Sonar aficionado, and he could probably tell you the part number for the tension rods on any Sonar drum. But he knows what he's talking about. But anyway, I bought these vintage A's, and I've still not put them on, because even though these, as you can see, that's the batter head of this tom, and the you probably can't see it, but the coating's starting to go on there. It has been for some time, and I think it's even worse on the floor tom, because I just couldn't stop hitting the thing, and it kind of started to look fairly sort of well played after a month of having it on there on the floor tom, because I just kept hitting it. But I will put the vintage A's on there at some point. I've still yet to put on the metal hoops. The reason I actually thought I would never go on with wooden hoops because again, I prefer the Yamaha type wood hoop, which is this one. It's just a thick 19 ply, low profile hoop. That works better for me. Also, I thought, well, I'll get these drums and I'll take the wood hoops off and I'll save them, because if I damage them, then it's going to cost an awful lot of money to repair them. And then I went to put the hoops on and realised that I actually need new tension rods, because these tension rods don't fit because they're too long. So I was kind of forced into having these wood hoops on here, and I'm ever so glad that happened, because I play over the drum instead of I play slightly into the drum sometimes with metal hoops, but I can play over the top into this drum, so I always hit around there. And the wood hoops really open up the sound an awful lot, more so than I was expecting, actually. And again, same with the floor tom. So I've always kept the wood hoops on here. I have gigged this kit. I've not gigged it very much, but I have gigged it a good few times, and it sounded great for the applications that I used it for. Which certainly the first few occasions that I took it out, and played it, it was for the sort of country blues rock band that I was playing with at the time. And the drums are all very open sounding. As I said, there's no real muffling on them or anything. So this is a very sort of open sound. The floor tom is very open. The bass drum, obviously, as I said, is quite an open sound as well. So I will come to that when I do a sound file. But yeah. I actually had a look at the time. There was a drum shop. It was Drum Shop UK up in Gateshead was selling one of I think it was one of Steve White's Craviotto kits, actually, for the same amount of money that I paid for this, and I was quite happy about that, because this kit was far more as great a player as Steve White is. Most certainly, this kit had a whole lot more going for it than a kit that had been played by Steve White. Well, in my opinion, anyway. I mean, this kit's been around the globe, quite literally. It's probably more well travelled than I am, or possibly that I'll ever be. And as I said, it's in this wonderful, unique finish. The other kits that are around in this kit, if you look up Chris McHugh, who is Keith Urban's drummer, Chris McHugh has, it's one of those session-sized kits. So basically, there's about 4 bass drums and about 10 toms in every size, and he's got basically a very large kit in this finish. And there is also a white bebop kit, or bebop sized kit, that went out of Steve Maxwell's Illinois store not that long ago, actually. I think it was this year, and that went for $8,000, which is a lot less than that, and that was second hand, which was an awful lot less than what I paid for this. And I would have loved that kit as well, because I think it was 12, 14, 18, the sizes on that. I don't think there was a snare drum. But what I was going to say was the finish itself came because I think Tom asked Johnny to have a snare drum in this finish. I think he said as a tester, actually, but and I've actually seen that drum, and Tom's still got that, and it's lovely as well. It's a little piccolo. There is actually a gong drum still that Tom still has, a gong drum in this finish, and a little 16-inch kick drum as well in this finish. Maybe I should, Tom, if if you do see this, which possibly you might, I may, if you ever want to get rid of the rest of them, do let me know, because I'd love the complete set. But I'm absolutely thrilled with this kit. I have it set up more or less permanently in the other room. I may not play it all the time. SQ2 probably does still get most of the playing in here. No real reason other than the fact that there's just more on the SQ2, and it's well, they're both fun to play. They're absolutely both fun to play, but I think this sometimes suits my mood. The SQ2 sometimes suits my mood, and even if I do come in here and play for, even if it's for just 15 minutes, I might go and sit behind the SQ2 for 10 minutes. But it's hard to pass this kit and not at least sit down for 2 minutes and play it, or 5 minutes and play it, and enjoy it. And it's great fun, and I'm absolutely thrilled to own it. And this will be with me forever. I will never get rid of this kit. I will never get rid of this kit for any amount of money either. So cool, and yes, thank you, Tom, again for letting me have it. So anyway, sound file, and I'll put some links on, hopefully if I remember, to the Leona Lewis stuff and the Kylie stuff, so you can actually hear the kit being played properly. There is actually, Tom said to me that there is a Kylie track as well, which was recorded with this kit, and as soon as I remember which one it is, I will put a link to that in as well. Because off the top of my head I can't remember which one it was, but I'll look it up, and you can hear the kit being played properly. So until next time.